preparing.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go. Good evening. First, let me thank you for taking a little bit of your time to join us and learn about MSD's Clarity program. My name is Damon Talley. I'm the Operations Director of Treatment Facilities. I oversee all the treatment operations within MSD at our 5 water quality treatment centers. Welcome to our community meeting, where we look forward to walking through MSD's odor control efforts in your community. Before we begin, a little bit about MSD and what we do.
MSD, ensuring safe, clean waterways for Louisville and the surrounding region. MSD does more than you might realize to protect the health and safety of our communities, and the work is really quite extraordinary. It is our mission to provide quality wastewater, stormwater, and flood protection services to protect public health and safety. Let's talk about MSD's 3 key services. First up, wastewater treatment. This is the water we send down the drain from sinks, showers, tubs, and toilets. MSD treats more than 170 million gallons of wastewater every day. 5 water quality treatment centers ensure that the water meets or exceeds regulatory standards before it's released back into local streams and the Ohio River. Next up, stormwater management. What happens when we get heavy rains or after it snows? All of that water has to go somewhere. MSD makes sure the runoff flows into drainage channels to underground pipes that transport water away from homes and businesses and into area creeks, streams, and the Ohio River. Now let's talk about flood protection. MSD flood protection infrastructure includes 29 miles of flood wall, 16 pumping stations, 150 floodgates, and 80 flood wall closures. It all works together, keeping the community safe when river waters rise. MSD also closely monitors water quality within the system to make sure pollutants don't contaminate our waterways. Plus, the innovative technology and engineering of MSD's waterway protection tunnel and underground storage basins further protect our community from dangerous overflows and pollution. There's more to MSD than you imagined, right? MSD is dedicated to our community's health, a cleaner environment, and a better quality of life for all area residents, today, tomorrow, and for years to come.
I hope this short video gave you some insight into MSD's core functions and responsibilities to the Metro Louisville community. Again, welcome to our first virtual meeting. I believe one day soon we will be able to get back face-to-face meetings, but for now, virtual meetings seem to be the norm. Even though we are not face-to-face, we have worked hard to make sure you have opportunities to participate in this meeting. Anytime during the meeting, if you have a question, you can ask it by emailing it to odor@louisvillemsd.org. You can also enter in your question via the chat option on the YouTube feed. We have a team of folks that are actively monitoring these feeds, and we will try to provide an answer to your question before the meeting ends. You will also find the email address on the top of every slide. When we finish with today's meeting, I would like for you to take away 3 outcomes. I want to introduce the Clarity program and our plan for mitigating these naturally occurring odors. I want to give you some background on how odors are generated, and then describe what you can do if you smell the odor. As you just learned, MSD has a big job to do to protect the health and safety of our community. The most constant of those jobs is wastewater management. A natural phenomenon within any wastewater collection system is the production of odorous gases. MSD proactively addresses and manages sewer odors, but the change in naturally occurring weather patterns causing extended periods of dry weather, compounding low velocities in the collection system, have increased odor levels and odor complaints. Today, we want to introduce our new odor initiative, Smell Something, Say Something. MSD has dedicated staff to help address the odors you are smelling. I would like to take a moment to introduce the staff members on the odor team. Again, I'm Damon Talley, Operations Director of Treatment Facilities. We have Wes Sidnor, Director of Intergovernmental Relations, Cheryl Lauder, Communications Program Manager, and Robin Birch, Odor Control and Biosolids Program Manager. I will now turn it over to Robin.
Good evening. I want to tell you a little bit more about our job at MSD as it relates to odors. Today, we spend over $1 million of our operation budget mitigating odors. We monitor the wastewater collection systems for odors all the time. We have a full-service odor control contract with a local company that performs real-time monitoring of key locations in our wastewater collection system. They can adjust chemical addition in real time at these pump station locations if they detect higher than normal monitoring results. This past year, we just finished an oxygen injection project at one of our major force mains. Initial monitoring results shows a reduction of almost 100% in our gas monitoring. We have a dedicated staff to clean over 20,000 catch basins each year. MSD's sewer system is old. Some of our wastewater collection system dates back to before the Civil War. So unfortunately, we are constantly repairing and in some instances replacing the entire sewer. For those of you traveling down Broadway this past year, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And finally, we have air treatment equipment at our water quality treatment facilities. But with all of this, we still get odor complaints. So MSD is starting an initiative by completing a new odor control master plan to see what else we can do to help mitigate the naturally occurring odors. MSD uses a variety of methods to help mitigate odors. For small air streams, carbon canisters are installed on manholes and pressure relief valves. These are mostly at our smaller pump stations. Using carbon is the simplest form of odor treatment. The carbon attracts and holds on to the odor-causing compounds as the airstream passes through the canister. At some of our larger pump stations in the wastewater collection system, we use chemicals to prevent hydrogen sulfide formation. Bioxide is a non-hazardous chemical that is commonly added to the wastewater stream for odor mitigation. As we mentioned before, hydrogen sulfide occurs naturally in the waste stream. This chemical addition creates an environment that allows bacteria to actively consume the dissolved sulfides that are present in the waste stream before it's converted to hydrogen sulfide. We have a few biofilters at our treatment facilities that are a very simple treatment process by exhausting the air through wood chips or larger pieces of mulch. Again, bacteria live on the wood chips or mulch, and they consume the odorous compounds as the airstream passes through. And finally, we use biological scrubbers to help reduce odor. Biological scrubbers are more complicated to operate. There are a lot more moving parts than biofilters, but the premise is the same. Inside the vessel is a bed of filter materia, and living on the filter materia is our friend, the bacteria, that consumes the odorous compounds as the airstream passes through. One advantage of the biological scrubber over the biofilter is you can work with the manufacturer to change the type of filter you have installed to remove more than just hydrogen sulfide from the airstream, like some mercaptans. So that's a little background on MSD and what we do to help reduce odors. Now, Damon's going to talk about the collection system.
So next, let's talk about the collection system and why we have odors. Remember, we mentioned part of our wastewater collection system dates back pre-Civil War. The picture on the screen is an original brick and concrete sewer that remains in service today. This is the southern outfall, 27-foot egg-shaped sewer. The main purpose of the wastewater collection system was to remove the waste from the population or city to reduce illness. At that time, the raw sewage went directly into the Ohio River and Beargrass Creek. Then in 1958, the Morris-Forman Water Quality Treatment Facility, then called the Fort Southworth Treatment Plant, started operation, and raw sewage was no longer sent to the Ohio River, and that began what you see today. Morris-Forman is the largest service area in the county. The treatment plant is actually the largest and oldest plant in the state of Kentucky. On an average day, when it is not raining, we will treat about 90 million gallons of wastewater. When it is raining, we can treat up to 350 million gallons of wastewater. Why such a big difference? So let's look at the service area map for Morris-Forman. You will notice it is the largest service area shaded in the darker green colors. It is the oldest service area containing the original sewers that went straight to the river. We call this the combined sewer area. These combined sewers still exist and can be found in an area inside I-264, or as you see the smaller loop or yellow shading on the map, inside Watterson Expressway. Combined sewers were built to send sanitary wastewater to treatment most of the time, but during rain events may overflow into the waterways to prevent backups of sewage into buildings. These overflows are called combined sewer overflows. The area outside of I-264 is served by separate sanitary sewers, which are designed to carry only wastewater. Stormwater is conveyed through a separate drainage system. These separate sanitary sewers were not built to overflow. However, storms find ways into these pipes through inflow and infiltration. When the pipes fill up, they may overflow either into a water body, onto the ground, or into a building. These overflows are called sanitary sewer overflows. So let's talk a little bit about combined sewers versus sanitary sewers. In a combined sewer, all of the street drains and catch basins are connected to the sewer lines in the street. So when it rains, all of the rainwater is transported via the collection system to Morris-Forman. So that is why when it rains, the treatment plant gets more flow. In a sanitary, or sometimes we call it the separate sewer system, the lines that collect the rain runoff from the streets are separate from the sewer lines from your house that go to the wastewater treatment facility, and the stormwater goes to the nearby streams. So what exactly does this mean for you? For those of you that live in a combined system, the catch basins are tied directly to the sewer pipe, carrying the wastewater to Morris-Forman. In our investigations, we have discovered some of the original catch basins were installed without traps. As you can see here in this diagram, on your left is an untrapped basin, and on the right is a trapped basin. So a trap catch basin works just like the trap under your bathroom or kitchen sink. As long as the trap contains water, the odor from the pipe or sewer will not back up through the catch basin and out into the atmosphere. In a catch basin that is trapped, an odor cannot escape past the water level. As you can see from the diagram, the trap is below the water line. However, just like the trap in a sink that is not used very often, the water may dry out. This will cause odors in the pipe to travel out of the trap and into the atmosphere. That is what can occur during extended dry periods and during hot summer months. So in an untrapped catch basin, there is not a water trap. So unfortunately, any sewer odors can travel to the atmosphere. So untrapped catch basins are a major source of collection systems odors in the combined system. So this brings us to the fall of 2019. MSD received a notice of violation for odors in the collection system, specifically odors in the Park Duval and surrounding areas west of 9th Street. This is the first notice of violation for the collection system MSD has ever received. We asked why this could happen, and the answer is the weather. So why is it worse in the summer? If you live in a combined system, you know there are more odors in the summer, right? It all hinges on how much rain we get. The information in the chart that you see is from the National Weather Service, and it shows the monthly average rainfall over the last 29 years for the Metro Louisville area. So we specifically want to look at July and August during this period. On average, Louisville sees about 3 to 4 inches of rain per month. Do you remember how much rain we got in those months in 2019? So for the month of July, we only got 1.48 inches of rain fell. And in August, 2.6 inches of rain fell. However, 2 of those inches were not until the end of the month. We had a period of absolutely no rain between July 20th and August 13th. It was very dry, those dry 2 months. Without any rain in the collection system, most of the catch basins dried out, and with little or no rain entering the combined sewer, the gases created in the sewer went to the atmosphere. So again, if we have hot summer dry days, we typically see more odor issues in the combined system. And for 2019, to make matters worse, we had the driest September on record with 0.07 inches of rain. So now Robin's going to talk about MSD's path forward to address the odors in our system.
Thanks, Damon. So how's the MSD going to mitigate this in the future? As part of our notice of violation and agreed order with Louisville Air Pollution, MSD is developing a district-wide odor control master plan. This master plan is going to systematically look at all of our water quality treatment systems, the pump stations near odor hotspots, 1,000 miles of wastewater collection systems, and the 3 force mains we maintain. We've already started on this, and phase 1 of the plan, which focuses on Forman, will be completed by the end of this year. A key component of our master plan is communication to you, our customer. We have developed easier tools for you to be able to report an odor. We've updated our website and our literature to help educate you on the sources of odor and what you can do to help mitigate odors. So please visit louisvillemsd.org/odor and check out our new odor page. We've accomplished a lot during phase 1 of the master plan. Phase 2 and beyond will continue in the Forman service area and branch out to the remainder of the treatment centers and their wastewater collection system. To wrap up, I'd like to talk about some few exciting projects we have going on at Forman. As part of MSD's commitment to help mitigate odors, we've designed extensive odor control equipment into all of our new projects. The dryer replacement project is finishing construction and has multiple types of odor control equipment to maintain compliance with our air permits. As part of the dryer project, we went ahead and replaced the filter in our biological scrubber ahead of our normal schedule for replacement. We did this to make sure everything would be working at peak performance with the new dryer system. Finally, the primary sedimentation project will be beginning next spring. In this project, we are capturing some of our fugitive air emissions to better mitigate odors from the sedimentation tanks. Let's face it, sewer and wastewater treatment is an odorous endeavor. It just comes with the territory. However, while MSD can't stop all the smells that naturally occur when sewage and other materials decompose, we can help manage them with your partnership.
The mission of Louisville MSD is ensuring safe, clean waterways through innovative sewer and wastewater treatment. But our work doesn't stop there. The MSD Clarity Program is our initiative to reduce odors that naturally occur when sewage and other materials break down. While we can't stop all of these odors, we can better manage them with your help. If you ever experience sewer odors, let us know by calling 502-540-6000 or by visiting louisvillemsd.org/odor. Together, we can clear the air.
So you can help us by visiting louisvillemsd.org/odor, and you can click to report an odor. And while you're there, we ask if you would please take our survey. We would like to hear from you. On the screen is a link to our Survey Monkey. It will also be available on the bottom of our odor webpage at louisvillemsd.org /odor. And we're also going to put the link in the YouTube chat. So we thank everyone for listening. And if you have a question and you haven't already entered it into the chat or sent us an email, please take this opportunity.
Thank you, Robin. So now we'll open it up to any questions that we have received, and Cheryl will provide those to me and Robin.
Thank you, Damon. We have one, the first one, and I've answered it, but I will let you know what questions there have been, all the questions that have been asked. Do any of the odor team members live in areas plagued with odors? If not, can you add workers and a couple of people from within impacted communities, please? And I answered that we have our 700 employees live all over the service area and the region, and that the two of you actually work at Morris Forman every day.
And I'd like to follow up with that. So for 21 years, I lived in Park Duval. And for the majority of my 48 years, I've lived in the West End in these areas. And for the last 16 years working at MSD, I've either been at the CMF facility or at Morris Forman. So, and Cheryl's correct, we have a number of employees. We have a supervisor at our Morris Forman treatment plant that lives literally down the street from the treatment plant. So we are in tune with the community and live there. And also, again, as we stated at the beginning, this program will go countywide. We do receive odors in other areas also.
Thank you, Damon. This is another question from the same person. You have mentioned naturally occurring odors. Are your efforts independent from odors coming from Rubbertown? Will there be a master plan for odors attributable to Rubbertown chemical facilities?
So yes, and that is something with APCD will be able to address. For us, this is separate. This is strictly the natural occurring odors that, as Robin mentioned in one of her slides, that occur, the wastewater that comes from your house, from industries, from commercial facilities, from downtown, as they mix in the sewer system and come to us. Again, these are naturally occurring odors, and in a system like the combined system, it provides those opportunities for them to escape as we presented here. We have a robust industrial pretreatment program and we also oversee the hazardous material ordinance. So when we get odor complaints for such chemical odors that come from Rubbertown and they come in, we dispatch that group out to investigate. We also, with regards to, as Robin mentioned, we have a group at our CMF facility that goes out. Their job is to go through and clean catch basins in areas that we consider to be high reported odor areas. We do some flushing in the combined system. So yes, this is separate from anything that's going on in Rubbertown.
Thank you. The next question is, some of the newer catch basins in the West End were also installed without traps.
Robin, you want to?
Was that a question or a statement, Cheryl?
It was not a question. It was not a question. It was a statement. And I believe that the master plan does include addressing the ones beginning with Park Duval, but I'll let you finish your program.
You're correct, Cheryl. Our investigation has started with Park Duval, and we've identified in that area the 109 of the 197 catch basins are entrapped. So we have inspected all of those. We're in the process of putting together a budget and a plan to go back and to get those fixed. So the question was correct. Yes, some newer catch basins were installed without traps.
So I'll just ask a follow-up question that I think this person might have is, you mentioned you're developing a plan. So is there a start date yet for when that work could begin, an estimate?
I'm hoping that it begins in January. Like I said, we just have finished inspecting all of them, 197. I think we actually found a little bit more, some 200 catch basins that we did inspect. So we're going to go through and kind of group them as to how to fix them. Some might need just quick fixes. Some might need more extensive fixes that will require road closures. So it's going to take a little bit of design and upfront planning. I'm really hoping we get something started at the beginning of next year. Saying that though, I know everyone's aware of COVID and the problems people are having getting people to work. We're seeing that in the construction industry as well. So hopefully that won't delay us too much.
Thank you. Whoops. Is one of the factors that causes odors in the California neighborhood attributable to Heaven Hill being allowed to dump in the sewer?
So I'll kind of address that. Heaven Hill is what we call as I mentioned previously, our industrial pretreatment program. So they are a permitted industry, and in their permit, we follow the pretreatment regulations in terms of permitting them to make sure that what they discharge meets all standards that won't impact the Morris Forman Water Quality Treatment Center. Again, in that area, we know of some catch basins over the years, an odor area that are damaged and allow for, I believe, we've gotten complaints of their steam coming out of the catch basins or odors when they do discharge their wastewater.
All right, there's a follow-up question from the same person that asked about where the employees live is, can we, and it was piece of their question, so my apologies for not emphasizing that, but can we include 2 people who live in the impacted areas who I assume, I don't know whether this would be employees or not employees who live in the impacted area on the odor team? I think it would probably be easier for us to include employees, but I'll let you handle that, Damon and Robin.
I mean, that's a good, that's a good suggestion, and that's something we'll take back to with our team and look at opportunities.
Right. Is it true that there is a pipe from some rubber town companies that transports some of their chemicals directly to MSD? And there's a follow-up piece to this. There was an ethyl acrylate spill one year because of a burst pipe.
So the pipe you mentioned is, we call it the Rubber Town Force Main. So for the Rubber Town community, those industries, they discharge, again, they all are permitted. They all are inspected annually. We also sample them to make sure they're in compliance with pretreatment regulations, with our wastewater discharge regulations, again, so that their wastewater doesn't impact the Morris Forman treatment facility to prevent us from meeting our standards to discharge out. So yes, there is a pipe and it comes directly to Morris Forman.
Thank you, Damon. Some of the newer catch basins in the West End were also installed without traps, specifically in the Parc du Val area. Are there any more installed more recently, I guess? So I think, Robin, you addressed part of that in that the work will begin in the Parc du Val area, but I guess this is asking, yeah, and are there any other areas?
So I'm assuming they're alluding to, so when Parc du Val was a revitalization project, and so we went through in those areas and kind of expand a little bit on those sewers. As I talked about the separate sewer system where you have the wastewater that comes from your home, and then the stormwater runoff from your yards or roads that go into a separate system that goes to a nearby stream. So when Parc du Val was built, it was semi-separated, meaning that if you live in the Parc du Val area or you frequent that area, those catch basins on the curbs strictly for stormwater. But because there are no nearby streams and it's still a combined system, that water travels down and eventually dumps back into the combined system. So in terms of the California neighborhood or the Shawnee neighborhood or Chickasaw, no, there's no new catch basins that have been built without the traps.
Thank you. Will this initiative be coordinated with APCD, Air Pollution Control District? There needs to be a complete database of odors. The regulatory agency needs to include this data in their numbers. So I guess, are we going to report our information to APCD?
Well,
I'll take it, Damon. At the time, we're not currently we're not reporting them directly to APCD. However, on our web page, there is an odor log. So they can see every odor complaint that MSD gets. You can see every odor complaint that MSD gets. So the information is out there, and they can choose to take that and include it with theirs. But currently, we do not report it directly to them. It is reported to the public.
And I will remind people that that is at louisvillemsd.org/odor. And that'll take you to the odor page, and you can see those reports. They're listed at the bottom. There's links to them at the bottom. Charlotte Powell would like to know how soon this is an immediate need. I don't know if you want to address that more broadly, Robin, than just the Park Duval area.
Yes, Park Duval is our first, and we will be excuse me, beginning in Park Duval. After that, we will head out to 4 other neighborhoods. We're going to go into the Shawnee, the Taylor Berry, the Chickasaw, and the California neighborhood. And we're going to do the same thing. We'll first start with inspecting all of them, getting a plan and a design together. And yes, it is very critical and very important. However, we do have limited funds, so it will take longer than any of us wanted to take, but we will systematically work through each neighborhood and get these catch basins trapped.
Thank you. There's a comment that says working at the wastewater treatment facility desensitizes individuals to the intensity of the odor. Do employees work at MSD that take into account when receiving odor complaints? I guess this individual is saying that if you work in that environment all the time, you become desensitized to it. And do employees, I'm going to say, that work at MSD take into account when receiving odor complaints? So I guess, do we take them seriously?
Yes, we wholeheartedly we take them seriously, and just let me say this: working at a treatment plant, you get used to those odors. It's just as anyone. If you work at a bakery, if you work at one of the Rubbertown communities, you do get used to some extent of that odors, but it doesn't prevent us from, when we are out. One of the things we do at all of our water quality treatment centers, supervisors, we do odor surveys of the facility. They go around and have a checklist of checking the facility. And then when we get odor complaints, especially for the Morris Forman, if it comes directly in and the person calling in the complaint believes it's attributed directly to Morris Forman, we would dispatch a supervisor to go out into the neighborhood to that area if we've got an address to try and see if they can smell that odor.
Thank you. When you investigate, and I assume this is the odors, when you investigate an odor complaint, do you have any real-time air monitoring tools to determine if there are VOCs and what they are? Where can we find all of the investigation reports? Are they on the website?
We don't have any monitoring that would pinpoint a VOC. The only monitoring we currently have is basically a wind model. So if we get an odor complaint and I'll put the address in of that odor complaint, I can get the wind trajectory from that odor complaint and it will go back to the source. So I'll put in the address and I'll see where the plume, they call it, of the odor travels to. If it travels to a treatment plant or to a pump station, then that is a good indication that that would be the source. There's a lot of times in the combined system that the address might be somewhere near downtown and the plume doesn't travel over an MSD asset, per se, a treatment plant or a pump station. And those we can contribute to catch basin odors, combined system odors. And no, those investigations are not public.
And to expand on that with regards to the VOC, so to put it in perspective, so I mentioned we treat about 90 million gallons on average per day of wastewater at Morris Forman. Only roughly about 10% or less, and as as we all know, is industries have closed. Industries have figured out ways to be more conservative with their water. Less than 10% of the flow that comes into Morris Forman is industrial. And going back to the Rubbertown force main, that is a completely 100% enclosed system. There are no catch basins. There are no openings outside of our relief valves to relieve the pressure off of that line, but those are the majority of where our VOCs would come from, that area. And so that's a completely enclosed line. It comes directly into Morris Forman. So for Park Duval area, there's no industrial flow that in that neighborhood that travels through. That is strictly residential. So again, it goes back to, you have to remember where wastewater is generated from: washing your clothes, your dishes, running your dishwasher, using a restroom, taking a shower. Let's take a restaurants in terms of cleanup. These are all, again, wastewater, as we stated in the PowerPoint, decomposes in the system. So you take that into account. And then the hot, dry days, water levels are low. You'll have that air, that hydrogen sulfide that can come back out.
Thank you. How do you determine that the odors are naturally occurring versus coming from that Rubbertown? It says forcement, but I assume that means the force main, which I'll just translate into everyday talk, a big pipe where the wastewater is flowing through it under force or very quickly. Yes. With the pumps pushing it.
Yeah, and again, to expand on that, it's a 30-inch line, and again, it's completely 100% closed. So odors do not have the opportunity to escape from that.
Thank you. Those street cleaning machines, when I've seen them, they seem to push leaves and other things into the sewers. Can you all look into this and determine whether or not the process needs to change?
So that's a great question there, and and I can expand on that. So one of the things I mentioned is we have crews that this time of year, one of the things so add this to flooding. This is the time of year, it's fall, leaves are falling, they fall on top of the catch basins. We have people that blow the leaves into the catch basins. So we have crews that go around and clean their job is strictly to clean the catch basins. They will remove the covers, and they have trucks that they'll go in and remove the leaves and trash and debris from there. And so I would say, to expand on that, if you know of you see any catch basins that have debris in them, trash or leaves, just like an odor complaint, call that in.
Thank you. And I guess that's something we could ask Public Works about if they're in charge of the street cleaning. How often is the Rubbertown force main checked for leaks, cracks, etc.?
So annually, we walk the force. We do an annual force main walk. And again, we check, make sure all the relief valves are working properly. And then also each industry, I do believe, they're also with what part of the force main is there. If they ever have any issues, they're very good about contacting us if they believe there's any issues with the force main.
Thank you. The odor surveys in response to public complaints depend largely on the inspector's capacity to detect the odor. How often do those inspections by wastewater treatment plant workers result in non-detection?
So, I mean, it's not, so another thing is with odors, it's kind of, when we get there, when we do follow-ups and we smell the odors too. And again, I'll use an example. We had back last year in 2020 along Central Avenue, we had odor complaints that came in, and there are two industries that when they discharge their wastewater can, along combined with what's already there, cause odors. We sent inspectors out. They went out and determined there were issues with the catch. They smelled the odors too, which led them to investigate the catch basins, which led us to then turn over to the group that went in and inspected the catch basins, determined that there were repairs that needed. And I believe it was 6 or 7 catch basins over a period of a couple months that were repaired along that street. And I'll say from that time to now, I don't think I've seen any odor complaints for that stretch of Central Avenue, 7th and Central.
Thank you. Can we get a copy of your standard operating procedures for investigating odors? And I guess, Robin, could we post that on our website?
Absolutely.
Okay, so, all right, I'll make a note to do that. Waste, and this one, I'm not sure if there's a question. Wastewater also comes from chemical processing. Yes, I guess is the answer. We get wastewater or used water from all different types of industry.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, here's a clarification on the catch basins. I'm not asking about noticing leaves around the catch basins. I'm saying that the street cleaning machines seem to push debris into the sewers. Can you observe and modify the process? I think that's a follow-up conversation with Public Works.
Now, I'll just add to that, though, as a homeowner and resident, we would appreciate you to clean the catch basin, to keep the catch basin clean. That's one way to prevent the street cleaners from actually pushing the leaves down there.
Does anyone else have any other questions they'd like to put in the chat? Feel free to go ahead and do that.
There's some really great questions.
Yeah. And so to follow up with that
They've
one-
been very good.
Yeah, so I would, as Robin said, to follow up with that one, that's, when I go out and give presentations, that's one of the things I ask. If it's catch basins right in front of your house and you're cutting your grass or raking your leaves, we'd appreciate that if you would clean it off and rake that up. So again, as Robin said, that would prevent them from pushing it into that catch basin.
Right. I don't see any more questions. I have put in the bottom of the chat the link to the survey, the SurveyMonkey link for the Clarity survey, and I invite you to take that survey. We want to hear your thoughts, and that's a good way for us to do it and to collect all that data. Here's another comment. We clean our streets. Our neighbors are very clean. I'm asking that you all observe your process that is not working well. Okay, that's fair enough. I think that is
Public Works.
going back to the Public Works
Public Works.
conversation.
Public Works.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Can you read my last statement, please? Okay, I'll read that again. We clean our streets. Our neighbors are very clean. I'm asking that you all observe your process that is not working well.
Duly noted.
And I've been, I would like to just say that we will contact Public Works about that because we are not in charge of the street cleaning. And I do understand that happens. Yeah. Especially in areas with large trees. All right, so there was a little bit of lag, and I read that statement twice, so there was a little bit of lag in when it came and when the comment came, so we got it. I think we could set up just a little section on that webpage. I don't think it would be too hard to do to set up a Q&A section on the Odor webpage. and kind of combine these into categories and leave the answers up on the website. Anyone out there have any more questions? There's if you go to the Louisville MSD/Odor page, at the top of the page, there's a very easy user-friendly tool for report and odor. If you click on that, if you're out somewhere and on your phone or at your home, you can click on that. It's easy to do even on your phone, and you can report an odor very easily with that new reporting tool. And then I would like to just remind you to take the survey. The link is in the chat, or if you're on our webpage, it's at the very bottom of the Odor webpage, which is louisvillemsd.org/odor. And it is a very quick and easy survey. And we would appreciate your formal input.
Well, thank everybody for your participation. I think the questions were really engaging.
I have one more thing. It says a last minute comment. And are there any plans to make these type of meetings accessible to those with little or no internet access?
So yeah, we're hoping, so we plan on having a number of these going into next year. And so we're hoping as, things improve with COVID and we can get back, our preference would be to have them in person. So that's what we're hoping to be able to do.
Right. There is one scheduled for January that at the moment is we're planning on that one being virtual, but the other, it's not been set for the others yet. And the January one is January 11th. It's to be the main topic on that one is the area around our Hyde Creek Water Quality Treatment Center. Damon or Robin, is there anything you would like to add while we're waiting to see if anybody else populates another question?
No, it's to reiterate what Robin said. We appreciate you taking time to spend with us this evening. Questions and comments, are good. Please, as I've said, as I've gone around and done meetings, we can't respond if we don't know. So, I know there are folks that call APCD directly or use the Smell My City app. But yeah, you can call now that we've got our website set up where you can report odors, and also the phone number of customer service. We'd appreciate you calling us directly, which would allow us to respond in real time.
Right, I'll add that phone number to the chat. And you do get a real human, which is always a plus. And you get a real human no matter what day or time it is.
Correct.
There is, in addition to that odor reporting tool on the top of that page, if you just went to the homepage, you can also report an odor on that as well, if you just don't want to talk to anybody. But if you would like to, we have some very nice people who work in our customer relations, and you can reach them at 502-540-6000. I see that we have 15 watching now. I hope all 15 of you take the survey.
Please take it. You want to earn this.
16. Woo.
All right, Sheriff, if we're not getting any more questions, I guess we can go ahead and let everyone go.
And thank you for spending a little bit of time with us. And believe me, you know, this is on our radar. This is a priority. As Robin said, this is a multi-year venture, as we have to, just with anything with budgets, having to make sure we budget to include areas. But, you know, again, please reach out to us whenever you have any odor complaints or other issues. Even if it's not odor complaints, if you see that a catch basin is damaged, you know, in some of the area neighborhoods where you see it looks like the catch basins collapse in or anything, please report those. So with that, Cheryl, if there's no more questions or comments, you know, everyone, a good night, be safe.
And thank you for your time and for your thoughtful comments and questions. I thought they were very, very good. Where I can tell that's an important topic with everyone that took the time to attend. And educated on the situation group. I have been asked if I can link it in the chat. I will try again. I thought I had, that it was not showing there. I think it's the survey that they're asking for. And so it's in the chat now.